All right, Cynthia, do you want to get started and maybe we can do introductions and see if we have a few more people trickle in the meantime?
Sure thing.
Okay, so welcome everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. We are from Techbridge Girls. Techbridge Girls is an after-school program that delivers STEM education to girls. And when I say girls, I mean all girls. That's cis girls, trans girls, and our lovely non-binary folks. Um, so, hello, welcome. Cynthia, do you mind moving to the next page? Thank you. We are so excited to see you today and for you to join us on this activity. We will be putting on our electrical engineering hats and solving a unique problem. So first, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Miriam. I work at Techbridge Girls. I love science. It is my favorite thing in the world. I majored in biology. I love everything about biology from small molecules and atoms to big systems. Uh, I'll let Cynthia introduce herself. Now, Cynthia, do you mind saying your name and also what do you love about science?
Sure thing. So I'm Cynthia. I'm a program manager over at Techbridge Girls. I am not a science major or anything. I actually studied social work. But being able to work for Techbridge Girls has really just enlightened me on the endless opportunities in STEM careers. So that's what I'm mostly excited about.
Great. Now, for this session, we will be using the chat a lot because we want your answers. We want to hear what you have to say. So in the chat, can you please put your name and what do you love about science?
I'll be looking through the chat as you all type.
All right. And Cynthia, while we wait for those answers to roll in, can you go to the next one?
Okay.
All right.
I'm sorry, is this the correct slide?
Yes, perfect. All right, let's see. We have Venice and London. Welcome. You love exploring new things and figuring out how stuff works. We have Allison, who loves how science solves problems. Caroline, you really like science in school. That's great. Oh, Catherine loves biology too. Wonderful. Another bio nerd. Okay, well, thank you all for joining us. Before we get started, I want to make sure you have these materials. If you don't have these materials, that is okay. Just write down what we're doing today and then you can explore on your own. So you will need an LED or small light bulb, battery pack, or a 9-volt battery, some cardstock, some tape. Electrical tape works best, but you can use other stuff. 4 paper clips, glue, and table salt. Now, if you registered early for this activity, you will get sent a kit with all of these materials and some extra electrical stuff so you can explore on your own at home. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to see if you can collect this stuff. Kind of give me a thumbs up in the chat when you're ready to go.
And while we wait for folks to gather materials, just from looking at the different materials, any idea what we'll be getting into, or would you like to share what you're most excited about getting into? You can share that on the chat as well.
All right, awesome. Yes, perfect. If you only have a few of those, that's okay. Just write them down. so you can do this activity on your own. Okay, great. Let's get started and go to the next slide, please.
Caroline asks, by electrical tape, do we mean copper tape?
No, electrical tape is, we'll get into this, but insulating tape. So masking tape works, some sort of like rubbery tape, duct tape can also work. All right. So we are going to become Techbridge heroes today. Techbridge heroes use their minds and creativities to solve STEM problems in their communities. So today you woke up and you discovered that the Techbridge Superhero signal, which lights up the sky whenever anyone needs your help, has just broken. The wires in the circuit are broken and you need to quickly fix them using materials that can be found around your home. All right, so I want you to think about maybe how we can use the materials listed to create a circuit and light up a light bulb. Cynthia, do you mind going to the next slide? Oops, back a little. I have a loud dog in the background. All right, so before we get started with this problem, all right, wonderful. Before we get started with this problem, let's remember what we know about electricity. So everything in the world is made up of atoms. Can anyone write in the chat and tell me what are the different parts of atoms? Awesome. Caroline said protons, neutrons, and electrons. Amazing. So the atom is made up of protons, electrons, and neutrons. Can anyone guess what we'll be focusing on today? What part of the atom? And I'll give you a hint. Electricity and electrons. Yes.
There you go.
So we will be focusing on electrons today. Electrons are super interesting. Cynthia, you might have skipped to the next slide. Electrons are super cool because they can move around the atom. They also have the really cool ability to move from one atom to the next. They can jump. So when they jump, this is what electricity is. It's the flow of electrons as they jump from one atom to the next atom. All right, next slide, please. And stop me if you have any questions, please. So, electricity is the flow of electrons as they jump from one atom to the next atom. Certain materials allow for better electron movement, right? The electrons are more likely to move from one atom to the next. These materials are called, does anyone know what they're called? It's okay. They're called conductive materials. So materials that are able to conduct electricity are called conductive materials. Cynthia, can you go to the next page, please? All right, wonderful. So materials that can conduct electricity allow for the flow of electrons. Materials that block electricity are called insulating materials. Now, can anyone name a few materials that might be conductive, that might allow for the flow of electricity? Right up in the chat, please. Battery.
Vanessa says
Okay. Yeah.
batteries in London.
Copper. Wonderful. Yeah. Copper's a big one. Potato. Yes. All right. So, Cynthia, next slide, please. Some conductive materials are silver, gold, copper, steel, and seawater. Keep that in mind as we go forward. So a lot of metals conduct electricity. If you think about what is in a wire, it's usually copper or some sort of metal. And then seawater, right? You don't want to go swimming in the ocean when there's a lightning storm because seawater actually conducts electricity. All right, next slide. So let's get into the activity for today. We are going to be making salt circuits. So as we remember, salt water actually conducts electricity. So we can use salt to create a circuit and conduct electricity from a battery to a light bulb. All right, so I'm going to go through the steps of the activity. If I'm going too fast or if you have any questions about the steps, please just kind of shout out in the chat. We will also send you kind of a write-up of all of this, all of the steps. So if you miss anything or you kind of need to look over it again, you can use that one pager. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is take our cardstock and cut or tear it in half. So you have two pieces of cardstock. All right, once we have those two pieces of cardstock, we're gonna clip a paper clip to the bottom of each piece of paper. Now, using a lot of glue, draw a line from the paper clip up the cardstock to the edge of the paper. All right, next part is really fun. You're gonna take salt and you're just gonna pour a ton of salt so that the glue line is completely covered. Right, we need all of the salt to stick and be together so that the electricity can flow from one salt piece to the next. So just kind of pour all the salt you want. Make sure it sticks to the glue line. Make sure it's all together. Okay. Now you can dump any extra salt kind of in the trash or kind of funnel it into another piece of paper. Now we are going to connect the positive end. So it will either be the positive red wire if you're using a battery pack, or the side of the battery that has like a little bump. It's not smooth, it has a little bump. So that is our positive side. We are going to connect it to one of our paper clips, and we're going to connect the other side to the other paper clip. All right, moving on. So we have connected our battery to the paper clips. it's really helpful for us to remember what paperclip is positive and which one is negative. So maybe write on the paper which one is connected to your positive side of the battery and which one is connected to the negative side of the battery. This will be helpful when we attach the light bulb. Okay, if you have an LED, you're going to bend the LED legs apart. An LED also has polarity. It has a negative side and a positive side. And we want to match the negative side of your LED to the positive side of your LED. Okay, so your negative and negative is going to match. Your negative side of the LED is the one that has the shorter leg. And the positive side of your LED is the one that has the longer leg. At the end of your salt line, you are going to attach the leg that is shorter to the side that is negative, and the leg that is longer to the side that is positive. If you have a light bulb, it gets a little bit more complicated, but that's okay. The negative side of your light bulb is is along the threads. It's along the side of the light bulb. The positive side is at the very bottom. So you might need to use a little bit of creativity and ingenuity to kind of figure out how you're going to connect your salt line to the threads, the side of the light bulb, or the point, the bottom of the light bulb. And again, as scientists, we love to explore and try new things and kind of experiment. So as electrical engineers, you will be experimenting and exploring, kind of figuring out how you can make this work. So once you have everything connected, you can turn on your battery pack and see if your light bulb lights up. All right, Cynthia, you mind going to the next page? And again, shout out in the chat if you need any help, if there's anything you have questions about, if I'm going too fast, you need me to slow down. So let's do some troubleshooting. First, we have to make sure that our positive side of our battery and our negative side of our battery match with our positive side of our light source and our negative side of our light source, right? Electricity is weird. It flows from a negative to positive end. So you have to make sure that everything matches or else it won't work. So again, the positive end is the long leg and the negative end is the short leg. So look at your LED. One side will be longer than the other. That is your positive. And you want to attach your positive end to the positive end of your battery. Now, if you're using a light bulb, it's a little different. The negative is around the edge of the light bulb, and the positive is at the very end of the light bulb. All right, awesome. So make sure that your positive and negatives match up. If you can go to the next slide, please. All right, you also have to make sure that your negative and positives match up on your battery. So the positive side is the one with the little bump, and your negative side is the smooth side. Usually on batteries, they'll say kind of which one is which. There'll be a positive end and a negative end. You'll see the little plus and minus side. Anyone guess why electricity flows from the negative end of a battery to the positive end? This might take a little thought, maybe a little bit of knowledge around what electrons are and the what's in an atom.
Is it because anything negative and positive like attracts each
Yeah.
other? Oh,
Uh-huh. Awesome. So think about your magnets or, opposites attract. The positive and the negative are attracted to each other. And electrons are actually negative. So they like to try and get all the way to the positive side. So electrons are always trying to get to the positive end. Awesome. So we have to make sure that our circuit connects the positive and the negative, that everything is connected, or the electricity won't flow. And again, if you have any questions, need any help, just shout out in the chat. All right, Cynthia, do you mind going to the next slide? Okay, that's the end of our session. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, as scientists, we love to keep exploring and learning and figuring out new ways. So if you registered early for this session, you will receive a kit of electrical supplies in the mail. So you can use them to do this activity. You can use them to explore different circuits. You can use them to kind of create new electrical fun stuff. We also want you to share with your parent or guardian permission kind of your projects that you complete using this electrical kit. So you can use them on Facebook or Twitter and tag at Techbridge Girls so we can see all of the really cool work that you've done. We also have a website where we have other activities that you can do at home. Maybe something else that you can kind of experiment and play with your electrical kit once you get it. Yes, you can record it later. It is recorded. Yes, there is a PDF of this activity. So you get your kit, you can go through this activity. Thank you so much for joining us.
thank you all so much. And I also want to add that you will also find a few more of our different activities on their website. And then you can also find some of ours on our website at techbridgegirls.org. Activities that are alike, some different, but all of them are super fun and requires materials that you can find regularly at home.
And yes, Chloe, you can still get a kit. If you registered for this activity, you will get a kit. All right. Any other questions before we log off? Any questions about science or Techbridge Girls or electricity? Great, amazing. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. It was a pleasure. It was really fun. And hopefully you learned a little bit something about electricity and had fun being electrical engineers this morning.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Enjoy the rest of the festival.